Alright, so your classwork for today is writing linear equations from points and slopes. There are 4 different types of problems in this worksheet, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do 3 of them, or remind you how to do 3 of them, and then the last one I think you guys can figure out on your own because we've done something like it before. So let's look really quickly at number 4. It says write the slope-intercept form y equals mx plus b of the equation of each line given the slope and y-intercept. So if I can zoom in down here to number 4. Alright, I'm just going to rewrite that equation that they gave us up there at the top. So y equals mx plus b. I know that m is my slope. And I know that my b is my y-intercept. So if I take what I'm given for slope, 3/2, and if I take what I'm given for my y-intercept, which is 2, I can just plug those things into this equation. Everywhere I see my y-intercept, I'll plug in 2. Everywhere I see my slope, or m, I will plug in 3/2. So I have y equals 3/2 x plus 2. And I'm going to put a nice box around that. And that's my final answer. It's as easy as that. You just have to write the equation for these first ones. So given the y-intercept and given the slope, write the equation in slope-intercept form. So go ahead and take a few minutes to make sure you have all that jotted down. And then we're going to move on to the problem set down below, which is given a point and the slope, write the equation in point-slope form. So down here, if we look up here again, it says write the point-slope form, and here's the point-slope form up at the top if you have a highlighter and you want to highlight that. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I've told you guys before, but I'll tell you again, this is probably the hardest one to memorize just because students always get confused on the minus signs. So remember that x always goes with x, that y always goes with y, and then they're the opposite signs because originally it was subtraction. So if they turned to addition, it must have been subtraction originally. And then the m is right in front of those parentheses. So it says write the point-slope form of the equation given the line through the point with the given slope. So let's do number 11 together. So let me zoom into number 11. Alright, and again, I'm going to go ahead and write the original equation again. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So let's highlight what we know. Here's my slope. Here's my slope. So everywhere I see an m, I'm going to plug in 1/5. Here's my x-coordinate, and remember my x-coordinate always goes with my x. And here in pinkish red is my y-coordinate, and my y-coordinate always goes with y. So I'm just going to plug in everything that I see. So y minus a -4. Notice up here, this red circled one up here is -4. So y minus a -4 looks like this, equals m, okay, m is 1/5, times x minus, and then notice that it's a -5. So x minus a -5 minus a -5. And then this is what I was talking about earlier. If you have minus a negative, they turn into positive. So that turns into y plus 4 and x plus 5. So when I write my final equation, I get y plus 4 equals 1/5 times x plus 5. So I took that point, and I took that slope, and I wrote the equation in point-slope formula, which is what you see here. And again, notice that these are opposites. So if I erase what I highlighted up here, I want you to notice that this was a -5 and down here it says +5. This was a -4 and down here it says +4. So when you're doing point-slope formula, you always have to remember that it's always those opposites. Alright, so go ahead and take a minute to write this one down, and then we'll do our last example together, and I'll give you guys some time to work on this during class today. Alright, last but not least, if you flip it over to the back, there are some problems back here that says use the slope formula to find the slope, then write the point-slope form of the equation of the line through the given points. So that's a lot. First it says use the slope formula. All right, well maybe you do, maybe you don't, but let's write it on your paper if you don't remember what the slope formula is. So up here I want you guys to write yourself a little note. Oops. A little note that says that the slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So go ahead and write that on your paper, just so that you remember what the slope formula is. So we're going to use this formula to find the slope. Then we're going to write the point slope form, and remember we're going to write this one more time, point slope form. That's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we're going to write the point slope form of the equation of the line through the given points. So let's first, just like it says in the directions, first we're going to use this slope formula. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And let's do number 18 together. So let me zoom into number 18. All right, so first we're going to use the slope formula. So let's label what's what. So let's see. I just like to go x, y, and then over here as well, x, y. And then you get to decide from there which one you want to be the first coordinate and which one you want to be the second. So let's make this the first, and we'll make this the second. So if I plug them into my slope formula, I have m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if I just plug in everything I see, I have a negative 5 for y2 minus a negative 1 for y1. So far we've done these two. Then after that, I have divided by x2, which is negative 5, minus 0, which is the x1. So if I simplify on the top, I have negative 5 plus 1. And negative 5 and plus 1, those are opposite signs or different signs. So I'm going to subtract those numbers. And I'm going to keep the sign of the bigger number. And since 5 is bigger, I'm going to keep it negative. So that was me simplifying the top of this fraction. And to simplify the bottom, I have negative 5 minus 0, and anything plus or minus 0 is just the same number, so that's negative 5 on the bottom as well. So that was simplifying the bottom. So my slope is negative 4 over negative 5, and I know that a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so I know that my slope is positive 4/5. So that's the first part. It says to use the slope formula to find the slope. So I just did that. The next thing it said to do was to use the point slope formula in order to write the point slope form of the line. So if you look back up at the previous example, we were doing that up above. The only difference is that they only give us 1 point and they already had given us the slope. So now we know our slope, but now we have 2 points. So how do we do it when we have 2 points? Well, it's easy. You can just choose whichever one you want. So you choose which one you want, and then you just write the equation in that form. So I'm going to choose the first one because I like the first one. So again, I'm going to write my point slope formula. So I have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So this is x1, this is y1. So when I plug everything in, I have y minus y1. So y minus a negative 1. That came from my highlighted coordinate up at the top. So here was y1 and here was y1. Let me erase that so you guys can see it a little easier. There we go. So y1 and y1 equals m. Well, we just found out that m was 4/5 times x minus x1, and x1 happens to be 0. And again, that came from right here. So that was 0, and so that is therefore 0 as well. Well, you could technically leave it like this, but I want to simplify a few things. Y minus y negative 1 turns into y plus 1, so that's y plus 1 equals 4/5. And then x minus 0, well, anything plus or minus 0 is just the same thing. So I'm just going to say x. And then the 0 doesn't really matter because x minus 0 is just x. So 4/5 x. I'm going to put a nice box around that. and that will be my answer. So that's one example from each section. Go ahead and finish copying this down to see where everything came from. Remember that x here goes with x, so that's why 0 went here, and y goes with y, that's why the 1 went there. Alright, so that's everything, one example from each section. The only section we didn't cover was this section down here at the bottom. So if you look down here at the bottom, the last section says convert these equations from point-slope form to slope-intercept form. So that just means that they want you to distribute the slope, so you'll distribute the negative 7/5 to both of these, and you'll multiply, and then you'll add 2 over to the other side, alright, and you'll simplify as much as possible. So that's all that that means, is that they want you to simplify this and put it in slope-intercept form. Just as a reminder of what slope-intercept form looks like, so you guys might want to write this down on your paper. Slope-intercept form is that one from the beginning. So y equals mx plus b. So maybe write that down just so you don't forget. All right, so go ahead and start working on your worksheet. And if you do not finish it in class, it is homework for tonight. Thank you very much.